So what motivates you to paint? I get asked that all the time from many people over the years, and I don't know if there's any one answer to that question. You know, it might be I'm riding my motorcycle on a beautiful day and I'm coming through this great hillside, or like the cover of Sturgis right now has these bikes riding into the sun. And that was something that I saw in a photograph. It was a photograph that somebody sent me. That motivated me. I could be sitting in a restaurant having a great bottle of wine, and there's some flowers there, and the way the light's coming in and the refraction across the tablecloth, I'm like, wow, that'd be a great painting, because I always try to challenge myself. So I take a photo with my cell phone just to give me a reminder, and then I go and try to reset it up myself. I try to come up with that same kind of composition so that I have something to look at. You know, so as far as what motivates you to paint, it could be an old master's. It could be maybe a painting that you had on your wall as a kid and you're like, I want to do my own version of that. Or maybe it's somebody suggests it. Or maybe you drew as a kid and you want to say, you know, I really like that. And now I want to see if I can take it to the next level. And there's a lot of inspiration from many directions when it comes to painting, from things you've experienced in life, from things that maybe you saw. Like when I started, what motivated me was paintings that I thought were awesome. I wanted to see if I could do that. So that was one of my early motivations, was to see if I could do what some of the masters had done in the past. But to answer your question, motivation comes from all places. You know, life, books, conversations, everything. If you were going to paint, what would you paint? I mean, how do you pick it? You love cars, so maybe you're a car fanatic, so you want to do cars. Or you're a motorcycle fanatic, or maybe you're a follower of my work, and you're like, I love his work. I want to do something like Scott Jacobs does with, you know, motorcycles. You know, so the inspiration comes from everywhere. It's just a matter of the way that you take it in and you bring it out through your arm, you know what I mean? Trying to think, like a lot of people love butterflies. A lot of people love hummingbirds, and I do quite a bit of hummingbirds and all different things like that because I love those things. I love animals. I want to paint what I love, you know, because I think then the inspiration that you have to put that on that canvas is important, because that time as an artist that you have in front of the canvas, you want it to be the best experience possible. And if you're painting something that you have no interest in, it's probably not going to be as great of an experience. But if you got your favorite car you wish you had in high school and now you're doing a painting of that, you got inspiration, you're excited, you want to see it finished. You know, it's fun. It's not easy coming up with ideas. Being an artist that's been painting 50 years and I'm coming up, well, I have a new show coming up. So say I'm an artist painting 50 years. I have a show coming up. I've got inspiration, but I need 15 paintings. I got to figure that out. So what is new in my life? What is exciting to me now? Okay, I did this. You know, I was on an airplane and I saw this beautiful sunset from, you know, from the window. Maybe I want to paint that scene that I saw. You know what I mean? I never know. Maybe I saw a frog on a lily pad, you know, they took a shot. That would be kind of cool. You know, inspiration comes from everywhere, you know, and I think most people's inspiration is probably going to come from life's pleasures and the things that they really connect to. You know, whether it's, you know, food. You could do, you know, a still life. You like old school still lifes from Dutch masters. Well, your first step, you know, is being inspired to paint something. And then you have to figure out what you're going to use to paint it. There's so many things, you know, from color pencils and magic markers, there's watercolor color pencils, there's gouache, there's watercolor itself, there's oil, there's acrylic, there's egg tempera, there's etchings, there's all kinds of things. I mean, because you could make your etching plate your one-of-a-kind original and then do prints from it. You could do an intaglio. There's all kinds of things that you can do. You have to start with that motivation, figure out where you want to go as far as image, and then figure out how you're going to get there. You know, and you know, you start with acrylic. A lot of people start with acrylic because it's easy. water-based. You know, you can buy it you can buy it in Walmart if you want to. You know, you're going to get some decent quality acrylic paint in Walmart even. But then you get into oils and the more, you know, intricate stuff that you want to use. You're going to have to go to an art supply store for those things, but you got to figure it all out. But you got to start with that motivation and that idea that's in your head before you get going. So this episode we touch on motivation and where that motivation comes from. And then next, we've got to figure out what you're going to paint these images with. So we'll go over all the different, you know, types of paints, the types of brushes, the types of canvas and paper that you could work on, and then we'll take you to the next step. And then we can go and work on acrylics only, and then oils only, watercolors, because they're all so different from each other. Whether you're doing a watercolor on paper or an acrylic on canvas, or an oil on paper, an oil on canvas, they're all different. It's not the same thing. Because you mastered acrylic doesn't mean you know anything about oil painting. It's totally different. So we're going to touch base on all that stuff. If you guys like what we're talking about, you know, please comment, subscribe, and take advantage of this, because not many artists give up their secrets, and I'm ready to do that with all of you.